you? Oh.
So anyway, I'd just like to welcome everybody here. I'm Scott Teeples and I'm in Oregon. And I'm just going to go down. I'm going to call some names and you tell them where you're at. Tina, where are you from? She's in Kansas. How about JoAnn? You're in?
Me, JoAnn, or is there someone else? I'm in Hawaii.
Yeah, Linda Nyseth.
Okay.
I'm in Oregon, close to Salem.
Thank you so much.
And Lavonda is in Hawaii and she ran off for a minute. And Billy?
I am in Oregon. I'm from Hawaii, but I'm in Oregon, Beaverton right now.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm in Prospect, Oregon.
Okay. I think it's, I know the last name is Ryler. I can't hardly read my own last name.
It's Ida. I'm in Alaska.
Okay. And Ann Ingen?
Oh, I'm in McMinnville, Oregon. Oh, just a hop skip from Linda Nyseth.
All right. And Conklin?
I'm in Fall Creek,
Oregon. Okay, artists.
I'm in North Dakota, where we've got lots of snow.
Yep.
But the sun is shining, and we have white trees everywhere from the frost.
Okay. How about Lincoln? How about Lynn?
Picayune, Mississippi.
California.
Okay. And,
There's two Lynns.
Yeah, I got Linda, and she's in Mississippi. How about Charlotte?
I'm in Hawaii.
And Karen Baker?
I'm in Oregon.
Great. Carolyn?
Southwest Portland, reporting in.
Oregon. Carrie Evans is in. Go ahead.
Oh, I am living in Fairbanks, Alaska, but I'm from Klamath Falls, Oregon.
That's my daughter. And Anthony.
Laguna Beach, California.
Okay. Who did I miss?
Me, Loretta.
Loretta is in. Where you at, Loretta? What state?
I'm in Prineville, Oregon.
All right. Anybody else I missed?
Valerie.
Fall in Kansas, 40 degrees and the sun is shining.
Okay, thanks.
Gerald Koski from Laguna Beach, California.
Well, welcome.
You walk the dog.
Valerie Livingood.
Anybody else I missed?
Valerie Livingood.
Well, hi, Valerie.
I'm in Mississippi.
Well, I'm glad you're here.
There's Louisa.
Hi, JoAnn.
Hi, Louisa.
Anybody else? So I'd like to.
Louisa is from Santa Ana, California.
Okay, so we got lots of Californians on there. That's great. I'm only 20 miles from California, but that's as far enough, as close as I want to get. Anyway, I do buy a California fishing license every year. So, well, we'd like to welcome everybody here. I'm actually going to spotlight JoAnn. JoAnn's going to give us a presentation today on, I think it's January is tea month. And I'll let her kind of take off from there. I just want to remind everybody, I am looking for people who are willing to do some lessons in the future. I have one in February and one in March, but I'm working for April and beyond that. So just contact me. So I'm going to turn it over to you, JoAnn. The time is yours.
Thank you. Good morning. Aloha. Happy New Year to all of you. I hope you had a great holiday season. And I know we're off to a great start because January is National Hot Tea Month. So I'm really excited about that. I know a lot of you are tea drinkers, but I'm wondering, there are many of you that don't drink tea. So we'll get to what we're drinking this morning. As Scott said, my name is JoAnn. I'm with Hilo Hawaii FCE Hui O Wahine. So a shout out to all my girls out there if they logged in today. Anyway, I want to thank Scott Teeples and Oregon FCE for inviting me to share this chat. I did it once before. It was a lot of fun. It's nice meeting a lot of people. And when Scott extends this invitation for all of you or anyone, you don't have to be FCE members, if I recall correctly. And it really is a lot of fun. You get to meet so many people and really learn about a lot of different topics. So I encourage you all to do it. I am a little under the weather, so I'm sucking on these cough drops. And I think that since I'm going through a PowerPoint presentation, I think I'm going to appoint Bonnie, no, not Bonnie, I'm sorry, Carrie, to read my slides if I can't do that. But I think I'll be okay. So Scott, thank you so much. We've been asked throughout the presentation as I'm going through the slides, and because sometimes we just forget at the end. So just stop me if I get a little, weird here. So I wanted to ask, what are we drinking today?
Lemonade.
Lemonade, really? Nice. What else? It doesn't have to be tea.
I'm drinking tea.
Coffee. Coffee.
I have tea.
Star says tea. In sign language, it's tea. Good girl. Okay. Anything else?
Assam tea.
Assam. Okay, I am drinking. By the way, my niece got me a new cup, Spill the Tea, and I'm drinking. It's called, it's from Armenia, and Lynn actually got this back. She travels the world, brings back all these great teas, and it looks like this. It's really cool. It's called Darman Herbal Tea, and it is wild oregano and cornelian cherry. I usually don't do herbals in the morning. I like my first thing in the morning, my Genmai matcha green tea, but since I've had this thing going on, I decided herbal is the way to go. Oregano has a lot of really healing properties, especially for inflammation and phlegm and all that. So that's why I started with that. But anyway, I hope you have your cup, your breakfast or lunch, whatever it may be. And I'm going to start the PowerPoint presentation. So just bear with me here. We're going to share screen. And of course, it never fails. When I do that, it's not here, Scott, and we just tested it. Like, where's my screen? That's not it.
No.
Oops. Oh no, I lost you. I hate this.
Well, we can see you, but you got your you're looking at your screen on your camera on your screen of your computer.
Oh, okay. I don't know what I'm doing. It says you are screen sharing. I can't find my presentation. So
you're on again.
I'm on again. Okay, let me get my presentation and then we'll start all over again.
Nobody in here is experts, remember?
You there?
We can see you.
Can you see my presentation?
Not yet.
No, I see it, but okay. Let me try this again. Share screen. Here we go. There it is.
Oh, we got it now.
There it is.
You got it now?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay, there we go. Good. Okay, so as I mentioned, January is National Hot Tea Month. And so it's a whole month that's dedicated to tea, although I dedicate every day of the year to tea, but anyway. All right, so we're hoping for a happy, healthy 2023. I started off not that way on January 1st, but I'm doing great. So I wanted to share with you a lot of the health benefits of tea and why it should be the beverage of choice for you, not just when you're ill or when you're feeling depressed or whatever, but all the time. It's just got so many beneficials. And I know a lot of you are really hooked on coffee or other beverages in the morning or during the day, but there are a lot of teas that kind of are pretty close to coffee. So we can talk about those later. But this tea chat is going to be dedicated to the health benefits of tea. On this particular screen, you'll see in the middle, there is an actual tea plant. And when tea pickers are picking tea, the optimal is 2 leaves and a bud, and that's what you see there. And this tea field, this tea plantation is in Onomea, overlooking the ocean in Hawaii, here in Hilo. And tea is a lot like wine, where the end product, the result, is due largely in part to the terroir, or the region in which it's grown, and the environment. In this case, the ocean, the sun, everything that's beautiful about Hawaii affects our teas. And we have some of the best teas. I know that they're sold exclusively in London and other places. So we do have beautiful teas. On the right side of that, to the right of that tea plant, is just a number of herbal teas in small bags that I saw at a market in London. And there's, these are just 12 teas here, a dozen teas, but there are just hundreds, thousands of herbal teas that can be concocted from different parts of a plant. That's what that is. On the left side is one of my favorite herbal teas, and that's rosemary. And it's good hot or cold. My dear neighbor has tons of it, and I'm always clipping his herbs for my teas, and he's very gracious about it. But if you cut a good 6 inches of a stalk of rosemary and immerse it in water, leave it in the refrigerator, and it's just infusing there. It's just very, very refreshing. I know people think rosemary, but you should try it. And if it's a taste that has to be acquired for you, like oregano tea, you can add honey or agave syrup or whatever, but they are very beneficial. So, okay, let's move on. So here we are, January 2023. Who would have thought, right? But you can see a number of teaspoons here with herbs in them. There's a cup of tea that looks like it was brewed. By the way, when you brew tea, once it's ready and you're going to drink, it's really not considered, we call it tea, the tea snobs and all those tea experts call it liquor. So you are seeing this amber liquor in that cup, and quite a few botanicals there. Okay, so what is National Hot Tea Month? It was established by the Tea Council of the United States of America way back in the 50s. Actually, it's been around since 1959, the Tea Council. And what they're trying to do is promote tea awareness and just celebrating all the qualities and characteristics of tea and the benefits, because it is like this amazing magical plant that people really think is just like this black tea bag, Lipton. And I'm not saying Lipton is bad, because I'll always have it in a pinch. Anyway, they designated January as National Tea Month. January 12th is National Hot Tea Day, and that's also my son's birthday. So happy birthday, son, wherever you are. So you might be asking, I know a lot of people, there are so many national and days of the year, months of the year that are kind of designated for different things, like, a Yoko month or whatever. And I know some of them sound really ridiculous, and maybe National Hot Tea Day may sound kind of weird too, but there's a lot of significance behind it, because aside from water, it's the second most consumed beverage in the world. It can be found everywhere, even in outer space. One of the presentations I did, one of the tea chats I did, was for our observatory, Imiloa, and they asked me, is there any relationship between tea and astronomy? And I said, there's tons of it. You'd be surprised. And it went over really big. We had some experiments. The kids loved it. And so, yeah, they drink tea out in outer space too, and they love it. So tea is consumed all over the world. And it's nice to try. It's a lot of fun to try teas from everywhere. Everywhere I travel, I love to see what they have. And you'd be surprised some of the wonderful concoctions you can experience. So it's widely consumed. It's a very, very vital economy all over the world, especially in places where tea is like the mainstay. For example, Japan, China, Africa, India, where their crops tend to be highly reliant, or their economy is highly reliant on their tea crop. So it's very important. Also, it's a very, very, it's a big deal for small farmers who devote everything to growing tea, growing and marketing their tea. So that's very, very important. Okay, we're continuing on with why tea is important. Well, you wouldn't be able to have those little sandwiches without tea, right? Well, you could, but you just can't. It's the best combination. Anyway, tea has a cultural significance in many societies. For example, Japanese tea ceremonies, Chinese tea ceremonies. Anywhere you go, there's some kind of, if they are really into drinking tea, there's an association there with something that has been introduced culturally. For example, in Japan, I think I mentioned in the first tea chat, when we talked about the history of tea, the tea in Japan was really introduced to the, of course, it was introduced by the emperor who had discovered it, but it really got going when the samurai were really using it to prepare for battle. And people, a lot of people think that tea is not really consumed by men, that it's a girly drink or whatever. But in fact, history will show that tea was introduced by men, especially the British when they were out colonizing all these places and exporting all the tea and the teaware and so forth. In Japan, the samurai were using it to prepare for battle. They were using it for meditation, as a lot of the Buddhist monks. And so it was really something that they cherished. If you go to a Japanese tea ceremony, everything that they do is symbolic and has to do with tea. So I'm not prepped here for this, but if you have a bamboo tea scoop from Japan that they use to scoop the matcha powder for their tea ceremony, when they scoop the powder, they're so adept at scooping it into like this little shape of a mountain. And they do that to signify their mountains in Japan, and particularly Mount Fuji. They do everything with, everything is measured, everything is for a purpose. Also, tea is added in virtually anything that you can find: food, desserts, beverages, medicines, everything. And also, you can find those, I should say, for example, if you think of some of the teas, and we call them value added. Let me give you an example. One of my favorite teas is lavender Earl Grey. So Earl Grey is just a name, and there's a history behind that too, but we won't go into that. But Earl Grey is a black tea that has added bergamot and lavender to it. And bergamot is a very essential ingredient for Earl Grey. It gives it that distinct flavor, but it also is the fruit bergamot, like this sour citrusy kind of, I don't even know how to describe it, but I just absolutely love it. It has a lot of anti-inflammatory oxidants, polyphenols, catechins, everything that tea has, that citrus does too. So it adds value to the tea, and so does lavender, that soothing feeling and so forth, the comfort. So a lot of the tea that is added to products is for the purpose of adding value. And then the things that are added to tea, different, for example, rose tea, cucumber tea, mint tea, bergamot, orange, lemon, whatever. Those are all value added ingredients. And so it just, of course, tea purists, a lot of them just like black tea or white tea, oolong tea, green tea, and they don't like all of those other additives. But, you know, the beauty of it is that it appeals to everybody, and you can have it any way you'd like. So tea is a huge force in the market because people are leaning more and more toward tea for health reasons. So it's become very, very popular. It's like a fad now, and yet it's been around forever as a medicinal. So just for those of you that weren't able to participate in the first tea chat, I'll just review a little bit with you. Tea is really botanically known as Camellia sinensis, and it's a small evergreen shrub or a small tree in this plant family. I'm not going to say that, but all true tea comes from that plant. So whether it's white, yellow, green, oolong, black, or pu'er, it all comes from that plant. It's just the way that's processed. The way it's processed, that's different. And you'll see in this basket, there's the 2 leaves in a bud again, and then the leaves that have been picked. And these are tea leaves that I picked in Japan. And when we were ready to go out to pick, I just thought this is going to be a blast. And it wasn't. And it was very tedious and time consuming, and it hurts your fingers and your wrists, and this wrist action that these pickers have is incredible. Like the amount of tea that they can pick in seconds is just amazing, unreal. I know Billy, my friend Billy, who is joining us today, has quite a few tea plants in her yard in Hawaii. And she's not a tea grower. Hers is ornamental and stuff. She doesn't use it for tea, but we do have some of the best tea plantations on the island, as does Oregon. And we talked about that last time. Okay, so true tea comes from Camellia sinensis, as we just saw. And there's 3 main ingredients in tea that make it highly, highly desirable for health benefits. One is antioxidants, another one is polyphenols, and then the third is catechins. So I'm not going to read this all to you because it's boring if I do that. But I think one of the important things, the polyphenols are found in different foods such as chocolate, which I love, and wine, which a lot of you love, veggies, spices, and of course tea. And so they play a big role in reducing a lot of medical issues that we may have, inflammation that cause chronic illnesses and so forth. And so you can go online, or you can email me and I can send you links of the research that I've used, that I've used for this presentation and that I use for others. There are various studies indicating how helpful tea is for various maladies, whether it's heart issues, cancer, headaches, whatever it is, there's something for it. I know we grew up, I'm half Mexican and half Japanese, so I know, especially on the Mexican, they had all these herbal concoctions that were just unreal. And we always thought it was such a joke until we grew up, and then we were doing the same thing. So I know probably a lot of you do that too. But anyway, let's go on to the next one. So catechins. So catechins are naturally occurring polyphenols, and they're found in the tea leaves when they're boiled. So there's a lot, as I said, that tea is used for. And, the pharmaceuticals may say that's not true, but you need to try it. But we will go on. Okay, tea benefits. So a lot of studies have shown that drinking tea may improve mental capacity, your mood, and your work performance. For me, I'm not so sure about mental capacity at this age, but yes, it does improve my mood and of course my work performance. I always had tea at work, so I can attest to that. And it says that research shows a high correlation between tea and heart health. And that is becoming even more and more more prevalent, that premise that it helps your heart. So it's something that there's a lot of research being done in right now. And of course, it's an immune booster. You know, people always say, oh, have a cup of hot tea if you're not feeling well. And so I've been having hot tea all my life, but it is, other than being comforting, it truly does boost your immune system. I know people, when I had the tea shop here in Hilo, people always came in and talked about, well, I love tea so much, but I'm worried about the caffeine. And there is caffeine, too much caffeine can be a problem, but it does have, you know, about 50% less. And if you want to, like my son always says, even decaf tea has calf. So if you are really worried about it, you can kind of run your tea bag or your loose leaf teas or whatever you're using through a couple of cycles in your water before you drink it. I kind of feel it loses the taste, but that flavor, but you could if you wanted to, or you know, I've tried decaf tea and I think maybe it's psychological that we have to have caffeine. Most of it tastes the same to me. With some teas, I can taste that it's tea decaf. And of course, it's been shown that weight loss can be attributed to tea, but you can't just, if you're trying to lose weight, you just can't drink a ton of tea. You have to balance it with whatever you're eating. So you can't have, you know, a ton of cookies all day long and drink tea. I don't think that's going to help, but it has shown to help with weight loss if you combine it with other healthy routines. Okay. All right. So we talked about true teas that come from Camellia sinensis. So we're talking about white, green, black, oolong, pu'er, and so forth. Those are true teas, unadulterated teas. Once you start adding things into them, then of course they're the value-added teas. Now we're talking about herbal teas. And we call them herbal teas, but they're really not teas, such as the ones from Camellia sinensis. So an herbal tea, also known as tisane, they come from any part of a plant, whether it be the stem, the root, the flower, the seeds, the berries, anything that comes from a plant is known as an herbal. And these concoctions have been around for forever. And they became very popular in the United States when the colonists were rebelling against the taxes that the British were imposing on them. So they said, oh, screw you guys, you know, we're going to do our own. And that's when they started searching in their backyards and their flower beds and whatever. And they came up with what they called liberty teas. And it was a way for them to have, you know, their beverage. It wasn't the same as a true tea, which they had become so accustomed to, but they were pretty adamant about sticking to their guns and rebelling against these taxes. So they came up with all these herbals or tisanes. And so there, you know, like we saw these pictures before, there's the rosemary and then all those other beautiful herbs in those paper bags. I think that probably everyone that's joined us today in their kitchen has some kind of spice or herb in their pantry, or here in Hawaii, we keep them in our refrigerators, that you can find and make a tea out of. There's a lovely pepper tea that, you know, with pepper, that's just fabulous. You can just find anything. So a lot of people will say, oh, I have to go to the store and buy tea. I'm sure you have it somewhere. So you should really go back and look in your pantries, and you'd be surprised to see what you can find. Okay, so all the trends now, like every June, there's the World Tea Expo is held in Las Vegas, and It's amazing what the new trends, what they're doing, how tea is presented, whether it's in powder form, the tea bags, the silk bags, a jam, a jelly, a liquid. It's just incredible. But it's just growing in popularity because of the health benefits that are known to be associated with it. So people think that it's just this big craze that's going on right now, the latest trend. But in fact, it's been around forever. So just as this slide said, 4,000 years ago, the Shang dynasty, they were using herbals as medicine. And the saying was, let thy medicine be thy food, or let thy food be thy medicine. And basically that's what they did. Also in Egypt, it was found that chamomile tea was used by them extensively to embalm their dead, honor their gods, cure whatever illnesses they had. And then they were using things such as dill and basil, whether together or blended. And I've tried them, and you know, I love basil tea. And there's just so much. Dill is also very nice. So, oops, I'm just getting ahead of myself here. So there's a lot of things that you can try. Don't stick to just one thing, or don't be afraid to try it. If you don't like it, try it with a sweetener to see if it gets better. A lot of them could be tastes that need to be acquired, but by no means should you just be putting in tons of sweetener, because then it defeats the whole purpose of the health benefit. So anyway, let's go to our next slide and see. All right, this is really important. I'm telling you all these things about studies and research and whatnot, but I am not a medical doctor. So don't go and run to the store and buy all these things if you're having heart issues. You really need to talk to your medical professionals to find out how any tea that you would be interested in could interact with your medications. So it's very, very important that you do that first. Don't just run off and start experimenting on your own. And I'm saying here, there's a picture of all these different teas here. They're just, I think tea in this leaf form is just so beautiful. And I really like that with all the spoons there. So I did say here, I know for a fact, even though I can't tell you as a medical doctor that you should be drinking certain teas, we grew up with all these different concoctions for whatever malady we had. They had a tea. Mexicans even have these soaps that you can use, especially if you go to Las Vegas, like soap for good luck, soap to win the lottery, soap and you wash with all this stuff. Same thing with tea. So there was one that was very popular, Té para mal de amor, and it means tea for love sickness, and truly it works. Trust me on that one. Okay, next one. So what else is tea good for other than drinking? Well, I cook a lot with tea. I bake with tea, cook with it, and it's a wonderful ingredient to add to salads, to soups, to baked goods, and it's not just for drinking. So what I wanted to do here was give you a list of ways in which you can incorporate tea other than consuming it as a liquor, a tea liquor, non-alcoholic. Although I know a lot of people that add alcohol to their tea, and that's fine. Anyway, you can use dry tea leaves in your closets, in your cupboards, in your drawers, and you can use any kind, just plain lavender, which really isn't tea, it's an herbal. You can use herbals, you can use a mix of true teas and herbals, anything that you like or that smells particularly good. A lot of teas now people are drawn to because of their aromas. They're just amazing. And so you can use all those. Don't put a wet tea bag anywhere. It needs to be dried. You can use them in your shoes. I play tennis a lot, so I like to save my old tea bags and I dry them out, and then I stick them in my tennis shoes. Just make sure you take them out, because I've stuck my feet in before and then there's this lump in there. So just make sure you get them out of there. And then of course, just like we say that, you know, a box of baking soda is good in the refrigerator, so are tea bags. And sometimes because I do entertain a lot and people will come over and say, oh, why is this old tea bag in here? Or, you know, I found this, you know, should I throw it away? But now I have a special little place and a little container for those tea bags, and they do really help. Also for your oven, sometimes when you're baking or roasting or, you know, especially during Thanksgiving and special occasions, you can also use them to kind of kill those odors in your oven. And cleaning windows, you'd be surprised how well black tea can clean your windows. And so, you know, if you sometimes when I do big functions and I have a lot of tea left over, and I always have to tell the people that are helping me, I used to do these presentations at Imiloa Astronomy Center, and we'd have these huge tea carafes left with a lot of tea because we always made extra. And the helpers would come and say, oh, I'll dump the tea out. And I say, no, stop. I need to take the tea home with me, because you can always clean with it, disinfect with it, cleaning windows. Oops. And so make sure that I should have put that on silent. Anyway, sorry about that. So it's good for cleaning. I have dark wood floors, and you know, black tea is really good at staining. And sometimes when I have scratches and whatever, I will, I will use the tea to kind of stain those scratches. It works really well. And then of course you can dye clothes with it. I have some instructions here on how to do it. You can go online and look for them. There's a lot of different colors that you can get out of it. I know one of our participants today, Vida, has been experimenting with us a lot with shibori, and we've had some fabulous results. And so I tried it with tea, and it looks pretty cool too. It's not as vibrant and as beautiful as the blue, the indigo and all that, but it's really, you can do a lot with it, especially if you're looking for that antique look or you're trying to hide stains or whatever. So there you go. Okay, so we have more ways to use tea. You can use it as compost. You can water your plants with it. We used to spray, my former boss, Tony, is on this Zoom. And when I first started working for him, he had plants all over the office and whatever, and he would spray them and whatever. And it, you know, they always look nice and shiny. And you can do that with tea as well. You can use the liquor to spray your plants on the leaves, in the soil, whatever. Of course, you can also eat tea. As I mentioned, I like to use it in stir fries and rice, in salads. And there's a lot you can do, and you should just experiment with it. Go online, look for recipes. There's so much out there now. And as I mentioned earlier, cleaning wood surfaces, wood floors, I like to use it for that. It's cheaper than buying some of this super expensive stuff. And so it's always a good antiseptic for cleaning. When people were out running around buying all these disinfectants during COVID, I was using all the tea bags I could find. And speaking of tea bags, they're great for eye masks. You've seen the cucumbers on the eyes, but if you gently squeeze all the liquor out of the tea and save those, sometimes refrigerate them and then put them on not just your eyes, on your face. It's a good facial. It feels really, really good. So you should try that. Okay. And then, of course, bath sachets or for your feet. When I was in Japan, I went to the onsen, that's the public Japanese baths. And the one that I was, the place I was staying at, they had—
Morning, Marcus.
Hey, good morning. Just let you know I'm going to come by and
I think Marilyn needs to go on mute.
Sorry. Hold on.
Okay.
Yeah,
anyway,
I do. I don't have. Okay, go ahead.
Okay.
Sorry.
Anyway, that's Marilyn from Hawaii. Hi, Marilyn.
Hi, JoAnn. I didn't mean to do that. Sorry.
That's okay. Anyway, so there were so many of us at this staying at this tea plantation. So they had to break us up into groups so that we could go use the onsen. So after a long day of picking tea, especially when you don't know what you're doing, it sounded like such a wonderful thing. So they broke us up into groups. I got the second group, and so they limited us to 20 minutes. And the first group went to the onsen and they came back right away. And they said, it was so disgusting. We are not going to get into these dirty bathtubs. Well, they're not bathtubs. They're huge areas filled with water. And, you know, it's a communal bath. And we were really, really surprised. And we were waiting for the men to come back. And there were, as is this group, not as many men as there were women. So they were just taking their time. They did not have a 20-minute time limit, but they weren't coming back. And we thought that's kind of weird, you know, that the women thought it was really dirty and they came back right away. And the men are not back yet. And one of the women said, well, you know, men, they don't really care about dirty stuff. They're just probably, you know, happy to be swimming around in this tub. So I was in the second group and we were a little kind of, you know, leery, should we go or not? But I thought, well, you know what? I came here for that. I'm going to go. So we went, 3 of us went, and we took like the 40-minute slot. We did not want to come out. And the thing is when we got in the tub, I say the tub, it's an onsen. I should not say that. One of the women kind of shrieked and she said, there's a snake in here. And we kind of like all tried to get out, but then we realized that humongous snake, like probably the diameter of one of those, what are they called? Those snakes, a boa, was actually a woman's stocking. So pantyhose cut up and just totally stuffed until it would look like a big sausage. And it was floating around and it was stuffed with oolong tea from the tea plantation. And it felt heavenly. That water was just amazing. And so we took our 40 minutes, our 20 and the previous group's 20. And when we got back to the room, they asked us, where have you been? Did you go shopping? Well, we're on a tea plantation. Who's going to shop? And we said, no, we took your 20 minutes. We used ours and we just relaxed. And we were like spaghetti in this onsen. It was the most amazing feeling. And of course, we slept very well. So you should try a tea bath. I know Marilyn, that just came on, bathes every single night without fail. And I don't know if she does tea. You ought to try it. All of us ought to try it. And of course, like I said, it's good for your feet. I love having, I'll do my foot bath with tea. And then my neighbor gave me a foot massager. And that combination is just amazing, especially after playing a lot of tennis and walking every day. So you should try that too. And of course, a lot of people get very, very creative and they'll use those tea bags for scrapbooks and cards and just all kinds of, you know, little gift cards and so forth. There's so much you can do with it. I actually found a book. I have a lot of tea books, but I found one where a woman painted on tea bags after she dried them and everything. She painted on tea bags. Of course, she's very artistic. She did beautiful art. I'll use that in a future tea chat, but it's just incredible what you can do with them. And then, of course, antiseptics. I always have tea bags in my car, and they're dry. And I always have water in the car too. So in a pinch, after you're holding tennis rackets and balls and whatever, if I don't have those wipes, I can get a tea bag out and soak it and kind of rinse with that. It's good for cuts, scratches, burns, bites, bruising. You can use it for so much. So there you have it. All right. So we're going to wrap up now. And I just wanted to share with you, I'm having tea every day, but every month there's a special celebration of some kind. You know, you always have to have an excuse. I mean, I don't, but a lot of people say, well, you know, I can't have a tea party unless I can have a tea party every day. But January 12th is National Hot Tea Day. And February 12th is Super Scone Sunday. I used to give presentations at Volcano Art Center, and the women used to call and say, can we have like during Super Bowl when our husbands are all gone and we hate football, except for Shar and Marilyn, who absolutely love football, but all these other women, including me, would say, yeah, we got to do something. So we came up with Super Scone Sunday, and it was just a silly excuse, but we loved it. And then, of course, a couple of days later is tea and chocolate. I mean, you can't two food products that have the most catechins, polyphenols, antioxidants that you could think of. You can get tea drunk and still function. It's amazing. Anyway, March 8th is National Women's History Month, so we always celebrate tea or that month with tea, and there are so many ways to do it and so many women, including yourselves, to celebrate. And we can celebrate the men too because they celebrate us. So it's just a win-win all the way around. All right, April 9th through the 15th this year is Merry Monarch, and we always have Merry Monarch tea, and it's amazing. I had a gentleman call me once and ask to book a tea, afternoon tea for 4, and I said, of course. He said, we're coming from Canada. Canada is a big tea drinking region. And I said, absolutely. I thought when he said he was booking for 4, I thought maybe he and his wife and daughters or sons or 2 couples or whatever. When they showed up, it was 4 men. And he said, we're from Canada, we're big tea drinkers, and we're here to golf. We're here to have tea and golf. And I thought, yeah, that's great. And they were hysterical. They were wonderful. So we had a good time. So May is My Fair Lady, where we celebrate mothers. And that doesn't mean that mothers need to be women. They can be men or kids or whatever, but that's what we do in May. June, Real Men Do Drink Tea. That's Father's Day. And a lot of mothers are the fathers and vice versa. So again, everyone's welcome. July, we have a huge, big freedom celebration because we live in the best place in the world. I don't mean here in Hawaii, I mean all of us. So we like to celebrate that. Did you know that August is the most popular birth month? More people in the world are born in August than any other time of the year. So if you are August birth babies, congratulations, and we'll celebrate tea for you. And then, of course, in September, we celebrate Ovarian Cancer Awareness Month. In October, Breast Cancer Awareness Month. In November, we're giving gratitude for all of the blessings that we have. So we have a giving tea. And of course, we culminate with tea blessings, the 12 teas of Christmas. And everyone has their 12 favorite teas. So my proposition to you is by next December, let's see if you have identified 12 favorite teas. And they don't have to be for drinking. You can put them in your drawer. You can put them on your eyes. You can bathe with them. You can stick your feet in them, whatever you want to do. I think Scott should lead the way. What do you think, Scott?
Okay.
Are you up for that?
Sure.
Okay. Okay, so I'm wishing all of you a happy and healthy new year. A hui ho means till we meet again. And anytime you're in Hilo, please, please come over for a cuppa. I would love to see you. And here I am. This is where I was learning how to, roll tea, pick tea, do all of that. It was a huge, huge learning experience and a lot of fun. I met a lot of people. I drank a lot of tea. I'll never forget that. And I can't wait to go back. So any questions you have for me or for anybody here? There's a lot of tea drinkers here. Anyone?
I have a question. Can we get a hard copy of this?
Absolutely. Just email me. My email is there. And actually, Scott can probably send you my email.
I don't do emails. I don't do any internet.
Okay. You know what? I'm so proud of you. Thank God. Thank God for you. You know what? Scott can send you, I'll send Scott all of my information and then he can send me your information and I will get it to you in the mail.
Okay, thank you.
Well, she can actually, I can get it to her.
Oh, yeah, Scott has it. I gave it to Scott because I didn't know how it's going to be.
Do you have any written information on that? On your presentation?
Pardon? Yeah. You have everything, right, Scott?
Well, you sent me your PowerPoint.
Yeah, but I have other stuff. Whatever you need, I'll send it to you or to Scott.
Okay, well, just send it to me and I'll get it to Loretta.
Okay.
Loretta's
Okay.
one of my favorites.
Okay, Loretta, thank you. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Yeah, you can. Why don't you stop sharing your screen so everybody can see everybody?
Okay, okay. Okay, let me get out of here.
Perfect.
This is so interesting.
Stop sharing.
Thank you.
So I have a question for all of you. What else do you do with tea?
I'm heading to the mainland on Saturday. Let me know if I kind of before. I'm going to be gone for a month.
Sounds like Marilyn has to.
Hold on. I gotta send this. Sorry, JoAnn.
I hear Marcus in the background.
No, it's Tom. It's Tom. Sorry. I'm just gonna leave because I keep interrupting this. Okay.
They had me on some medication last summer, some of the antibiotics, and they were real strong. And I had problems with BMs, and I went out and bought some licorice tea.
I love licorice tea.
And it does help. Doesn't solve the problem, but it does help.
I know I've heard people say licorice tea, that sounds so gross, but that's one of my favorites. I love it. I'm glad it helped you, Loretta.
Well, I like teas, and I don't drink as much tea as I did when I was young. I mean, I drank tea all day long.
Yeah, I have my routines, you know. Once you start drinking tea and you really once you like something, you'll get into a ritual, you'll get into your habits. And I have to say, I don't want to go into all of this, but this year it'll be 15 years that I was diagnosed with late stage cancer. And I have to say, even the doctors tell me it's got to be all that tea you were drinking, because you know, I had issues that that exacerbated my condition, but I think that all this tea drinking really did help. As a result of 16 months of chemo, I had a chemo-related heart attack, and they tell me the same thing. I think all that tea helped you. And then just this past, on January 1st, I had friends visiting from out of town, and they both came down with COVID. And I was like, well, I'm fine so far. But on January 1st, I did test positive. And right away, I had to let Scott know, you know, what if I can't do this today? And then he's like, well, how do you feel? And I said, I feel great. So I tested positive on New Year's Day, but I didn't get any of the symptoms that my guests had. I felt so bad for them. I didn't get any of that. I just had, I'm kind of nasally and a runny nose, but I feel, you know, yesterday I was mowing my lawn. I feel fine. So I think it's all that tea.
So I want to tell everybody that JoAnn wanted me to do this presentation. She sent me the PowerPoint, and I said, there's no way I can do it. That was my plan C. I had a plan B, which I didn't have to do. We stayed on plan A.
You could have done it. You could have done it. But anyway, I think, you know, try some of the teas, like Loretta mentioned, licorice, dill, basil, rosemary, chamomile. We're all familiar with the chamomile because it's, you know, that it's all over, it's saturated the market. But for example, Billy has a lot of lilikoi, which is passion fruit, and so does Tony in Laguna Beach, growing all over the place. And what people don't realize is that the leaf of the passion fruit is used in a lot of medicine and those supplements that you buy that you pay so much for. Passion fruit leaf is great for helping you sleep. So they use it a lot in, what is that stuff called to make you go to the melatonin pills? You know, you look at the ingredients, you'll see passion fruit extract. You'll see a lot of things. So anything you can find in your yard, of course, make sure it's safe. By the way, we have growing here, Charlotte that's what she looks, or that's what it looks like when you read her thing. It says Charlotte. Char is my one of my tennis captains. She has hibiscus growing all over her property, but it's a certain type. You just can't go buy a hibiscus plant and brew the leaves or the flower because you'll get diarrhea. It has to be the certain kind that you can drink. And hibiscus has so many healing properties, and it's very, very refreshing. And when Char discovered that it was growing all over the place and she could drink it, she now drinks it a lot, I think. Don't you, Char? Yeah, she's always brewing it. It's beautiful in her yard. So, you know, experiment with what you can. If you go to natural food stores, don't go buy an expensive package of tea. Go to all those jars that they have. If it's one of those like Island Naturals that we have here, they have all the jars of all these spices. Try those for tea first. Look them up online and read about it.
I'm not real sure if I can use lavender tea because I did not realize I had problems with lavender until my oldest daughter said she had allergies to it. And then I noticed I love the smell of lavender, but if I have it anywhere close to my face or eyes, I get really bad headaches.
That's true. You can have allergies to any of these, whether it's a true tea, Camellia sinensis, or an herbal. So make sure, you know, that when you try them, try it, you know, very carefully and just small amounts. If you know you're allergic to something, you know, make sure you don't consume that. Always be careful with anything, whether it's tea, coffee, any drinks. I know those energy drinks are popular. Anything that's on the market, whether it's a food or a beverage, just be careful with those. Anything.
And those energy drinks, my husband's not allowed to have any of that because I believe it was a high blood pressure medication, but also he has heart problems. And so he isn't allowed to have any of those. And he was told quite a few years ago he could not have them.
Yes, so that's why it's important for you to seek advice from your medical professionals. Please do that. Okay, I'm done with my part.
I have a question. Just this is one of those little practical things. The word teaspoon, does that come from tea? Does that have a certain measurement that people used to use long ago for measuring tea? Is that why it's called a teaspoon?
It is, and that's a really, really good question. That's a good question. No, it's true. So you know our measurements, like when you bake and cook and whatever, and I've tried this. I have all kinds of different real like TEA spoons for all the tea accoutrements and whatnot. But if you compare it to your cooking thing, it's pretty much the same. There are some that get so fancy and whatever, but it's pretty much, yeah, a teaspoon. And people say, you know, when you brew tea, we're going to have a lesson on, you know, all that stuff and whatever. But, you know, people say, I don't have a proper teaspoon to make tea. You don't need all that. You can pinch some tea out with your fingers and put it in a bag or in a strainer or whatever. But yes, Char, that's where it came from. And you really don't need a real teaspoon. Just go to your silverware drawer and get whatever you have. And it's always according to taste and to what you feel comfortable with. How it's like coffee. Do you like it strong, mild, medium, or whatever? Same thing with tea. So yeah, that's a good question. Thank you.
JoAnn?
Yes?
Yeah. JoAnn, can you hear me?
Yeah. Who am I speaking with?
Oh, you're talking to Ann, or I'm talking to you. How long do tea leaves, you know, what's their lifespan? You know, when you buy teas and they sit in your pantry for 2 or 3 years, they don't taste very good. Is that normal?
You know, I have tea in my pantry that I've had ever since the tea shop. So, you know, more than 10 years or whatever. If it's not opened, it's always going to be good. I get a lot of tea from Canada for, what do you call it? I can't even think, wholesale tea from Canada. I get a lot of my teas from there. Canada, Japan. I like Taiwan and France. And if you don't open the tea, it can last forever. Once you do open it, you should probably store it like in a double lidded container, because air is one of the bad things for tea. If it's always exposed, sunlight, air, humidity, moisture should not be around tea. So you should probably have it in a double lidded container. And if not, just keep it away from all those elements, and it should be okay. If you've had tea in a container for about 2 to 3 years and you keep opening it and taking it out, it's probably not going to have, even if it's not moldy, it's probably, you know, usable. It probably won't have that same brightness and spark as fresh tea. However, if you have pu'er tea, and I can do a lesson one day when we show you all the teas. If you had a brick or a tablet of pu'er and it's all moldy, usually what they do is they just brush all the mold off and then just chip away at it and get the desired amount that they want to steep in their water. Because pu'er is the kind of tea that is good as it ages, even with the mold and everything. Anyway, it's not going to kill you. You're going to boil your water. So you should be okay. But, you know, so you know, fresh tea, of course, if you use it like within a year and whatever, seems to be the best. But, you know, 2 and 3 years, I have some here and I still like it. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Anyone else?
JoAnn, Lavanda.
Yes. Hi, Lavanda. Welcome back.
Thank you. I have a question. You know, you mentioned looking at things in your garden like that. But I don't have basil tea, but I have fresh basil. You think that might work?
That's the same thing. Fresh basil is, you can make basil and herbal infusion. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Okay. I just thought about that. I have fresh basil, so I'll probably put it in my tea.
Any fresh herb that you have in your refrigerator, you can make tea out of. You might not like it, but I've tried them all. They're pretty good.
Oh, okay. Okay. Usually I put a lot, like real honey in it, you know, just a little honey. Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of people do that just to kind of, you know, once, if you find something that you like and you have to add honey or some sweetener, do that. And then once you start, you know, really getting into it, start decreasing the amount of sweetener. And before you know it, you don't need it.
That's true. That's true. Because I've learned to, after I learned how to drink Japanese tea, and they never put any sugar or any sweeteners in it. It's straight, like, but I like the taste. But I've had a cold, like you too, you know, started during the holidays. So I thought, well, the honey might be an added, you know, taste to the tea as well. Yeah, for medicinal purposes.
Honey's always good, right?
Yeah, but usually I just drink plain tea without no sugar. I like it. But thank you very much. I'm glad I made it back.
As a diabetic, you're not supposed to have a lot of sugars in your tea. It's really hard to learn to drink it without. If it's too bitter, I will put like maybe a quarter of a teaspoon in.
That's true. You have to adjust for whatever you know, ailments you might have. But I always say try it straight first. If you just can't take it, then don't drink it or add a little bit of sweetener to it. But straight would be the best. But I know a lot of people are logging off. So before you all do, I just want to thank you for taking time to join Scott's lessons. He does a lot of work to put these on. I really admire him. He's a hard worker. And if you want to be a presenter for him, call him. But thank you very much, and happy New Year. Here's to all of you. Thank you very much.
We want to thank you very much for
JoAnn.
giving this lesson.
Thank you, Loretta.
Bye, JoAnn.
Happy New Year. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you very much,
everybody. Thank you, Joe.
Thank
Bye,
all of you
Tony.
for being here.
Bye.
Thank
Happy
you.
New Year, everyone.
Same to you. Hope I see you all.
JoAnn, thank you very much. And a little reminder, this will be recorded, or it is recorded, and it will be on the Oregon website probably by this afternoon.
Okay, thank you, Scott.
All right.
JoAnn.
Thank you.
JoAnn, sorry, this is Carrie Teeples Evans, but I just wanted to say thank you so much. This has been so informative. I love tea, just plain Jane, all kinds of different tea. And did you say it was mod tea that you had this morning?
Sorry, I didn't hear that one.
Did you
What
say
was
that
your-
a mod tea is what you had this morning? Is it
Oh,
AA?
I had this morning, I had Darman, D-A-R-M-A-N,
Oh.
that comes from Armenia. It's wild oregano and cornelian cherry.
Nice. I'll have to look it up. We actually have a tea shop here in Fairbanks, which is unexpected.
Called Kobuk?
Now, I think is what she calls it.
Okay, you're kind of going in and out, but the one I was going to say, my girlfriend who is in Alaska right now in Anchorage, every time she goes to visit her son, she brings back Kobuk, K-O-B-U-K, and they have some fabulous teas. And while I've never been to Alaska, everyone that goes there says Alaska has amazing tea. And I guess you have to, right?
Right. I'm going to definitely have to go check out her shop now. I'm super excited. So thank you so much.
Oh, I hope you like it. And please email me and tell me about it.
Okay.
I like to travel and go look for tea. So I've got to get over to Alaska.
Okay, I will. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. And Loretta, we'll send you that presentation, Loretta.
Okay, thank you. And I believe it's echinacea teas that they will be with something else. I heard that.
Echinacea is very good for you.
Yeah, it helps with colds.
Yes, yes. That's why you find that particular ingredient in a lot of these, what do you call them? These throat lozenges. You'll see echinacea, you'll see it in tea, you'll see it in quite a few medicinals, actually. Yeah.
So by the way, Carrie is in Fairbanks and her high today is going to be a -7.
Oh yeah, she needs tea for sure. Oh my gosh, I can't imagine that. I actually, the coldest I ever got in terms of living somewhere was when I was living in Northern California in Sacramento, and I was just drinking tea I drink tea every day, but I was drinking tea like every hour. It was just ridiculous. I couldn't handle it. I don't know how you folks do it. I hand it to you. So it's I don't know. That's something, Carrie. Negative.
Yeah, I keep a electric water kettle on my desk in my office.
Yeah, I would do the same thing. One of my friends made, you know how they have those like these bags that are filled with like rice, and then on you. Well, one of them made one and just stuffed it with tea. And then, but she did a little thing so that you can remove the tea when it gets old. But yeah, it's really kind of comforting because you can smell the aroma and I tried it in the microwave, not too much, but barely. And the aroma came through. It was good. Like if you put it on your forehead or whatever, it was really nice. So yeah, you can do so much with it. And lucky that you live way out in Alaska and have such fabulous tea. Yeah. One of my favorites that they've been bringing back from this place is called Russian Caravan. And it's one of the most popular teas in the world. And it goes by so many names, but they call it Russian Caravan. But it's known by a lot of different names. And it's really full of the spices. It's a black tea with cinnamon and all those things that make you feel good. You can make lattes and all that. So you got it going over there, girl. You're lucky.
Well, come visit. Come visit.
I can't wait. Yeah. I was actually supposed to go this summer. My niece went, but my mother was ill and we were taking care of her, so I never made it. So yeah, I've got to get over there. So
For sure.
yeah. Thank you so much.
And JoAnn, you had lots of comments on the chat. I don't know if you saw them. Lots of thanks.
Oh, you know what? Now I'm barely looking at them. I guess I better.
Yeah, they were just lots of thanks for you for being on. And again, it was a wonderful presentation. I knew we'd have lots of them. We did have 32 on the Zoom.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah,
that's great.
And it varies a little bit from month to month.
When we're done, when we log off, are we still able to access those comments?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I don't know if it may save them. I'll have to look, and if they're on there, I'll email them to you. I'll figure out a way to them to you.
Well, you know what I just did is, let me see if this is going to work. I just copied them onto a Word document.
Okay.
I was able to do that. I didn't know we could.
Okay. And that other gal that's on there, Karen Baker, that you're looking at, I'm trying to her do a presentation. She has a really good one on the lookouts of the Pacific Northwest.
Oh, you know, Karen, you need to do that because the last time I went to the Pacific Northwest was in 2018. And we started doing that, but one of the members of our party took ill, very ill. But oh my gosh, it was just like awesome. It was like it can bring you to your knees, beauty. So if you did a presentation, I think that would just blow us away, just the sheer beauty of that. I hope you do it.
But
I think I'm scheduled for April.
All right.
All right. I wrote that down.
All right. So he's holding you to it.
Okay.
I know.
All right.
It's on
I can't wait.
Oh, I can't get it to come up on here, but it's on my paper.
Okay. Okay. That's going to be exciting, Karen.
All right.
I look forward to it. I can't wait. Okay. All right. Well, I guess we'll say a hui ho here until we meet again.
Thank you again.
Yeah.
Email me stuff you want to say, and I'll give it to Loretta. Thank you, Loretta.
Yes.
Thank you for the opportunity. I appreciate it.
Oh, yeah. And if you got another presentation, let me know later.
Okay. Thanks a lot. Bye.
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.